Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. That's right, folks. Another week means another episode of Garage Door Sports. Nick McVicker, joined by my great co-host, Irfan Manji. Irfan, welcome back, buddy.
Oh, it's good to be back. Missing Kyle in this picture, but we've got this.
He's on a date weekend. I can't get in the way of that.
I think we're just tag teaming this. We're taking turns. We're alternating just to give you somebody to banter with, eh?
Just a different banter every week.
Yeah, a different style of all of that. No, but I'm doing good. Happy to be here. A lot of people keep asking me about the podcast, so trying to throw our name out here and there. They're like, yeah, we heard you do a podcast. Tell us about it. And I'm like, this is what our network does. Please listen to us. Please give us feedback. So I hope it raises our listeners by 2 or 3.
Hopefully. I mean, anything we can do to get listeners. Take it. But we appreciate everyone who is listening because we're
exactly
doing this. So keep coming around. We'll keep it going.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy week.
How was the Raptors
Toronto
game?
Sports going on that I got to deal with. So.
Yeah, how was the Raptors game? That was an insane little picture there. That was beautiful.
Yeah, well, I did the courtside game for the Raptors on Thursday when they played the Bucks, which was really cool. Not my favorite spot to be.
No?
It's weird. So they changed the setup of the media area. So before, no one could really walk behind you. There was like space, but no one could walk through there. I guess this year they decided to allow like fans and stuff to walk behind to get to their seats on either side of the media table. So it was just kind of weird that like people were walking behind constantly. And I kind of just felt a little uncomfortable that people were walking by while we were working. And like a couple of them knew. So I work with Paul Jones, obviously on the TSN radio broadcast. He's the play-by-play guy. And people are just like walking by, coming up and like tapping him on the shoulder and waving. I'm just like, he's working. Like, what are you doing? I would hate that as a play-by-play person to have people constantly coming up and like tapping me on the shoulder saying hi or whatever. But it was a really cool experience. If I got to do it again, of course I would do it again. Don't get me wrong. I just prefer my little booth up top in the media gondola.
Yeah, away from, I guess, distractions. Because if something distracts you, you might lose focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, thankfully, like I don't usually during the game I don't have to do a whole lot because once I set the board, it's just making sure that everything keeps feeding through. So I can just do that with the headset. So like during the game, it's not the biggest issue for me that people are walking by, but I just feel bad for like Jonesy and I was working with Sherm Hamilton, who was our color commentary for the game.
Nice.
And Josh Lewenberg was down there at one point too. I just kind of felt bad for them. Like everyone just keeps walking by, like bumping chairs and shit. Like it's like, come on, guys. Like like this should be blocked off. Like that's all I mean. It should be blocked off.
Well, maybe for the next game that you cover, though.
No, it's been like that all season, which is weird. Like as I said, it's not normal, so it's kind of like okay, well, something's not right, but whatever. Out of my control. Not going to complain about it because it is what it is.
Okay.
But I much prefer the upstairs booth, and hopefully, if I get the chance, though, I will definitely do it. Don't get me wrong. Like I've enjoyed.
It was a great view. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, that picture
absolutely.
popped up, and I was like, man, that was nice.
Absolutely, it was really cool. Definitely a different perspective, though. As a tactical person who loves to watch how plays set up, can't really do that courtside. It doesn't work as well because you're at everyone's like, well, when you're sitting down, everyone's like chest level at most. You can't really see how they're setting up. Whereas up in the booth, man, you see everything set up. So it's pretty cool. Let's focus on, the other sports that we got to talk about because, man, there's a lot that happened this week. Antonio Brown getting suspended for a COVID breach. Well, I mean, not a COVID breach, a bold-faced lie to everybody in the world. The MLB got locked out this week, dude. And let's start with the CFL because this is the gong show, but we'll start in our kickoff segment, sponsored by the Canada Kicking Academy. If you were looking for Let's try that again. Calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to take your special teams game to the next level. I'm butchering this today. Wow. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy for more information. Huge congratulations to Canada Kicking Academy alumni Eric Strands, named the Youth Sports All-Canadian Kicker of the Year. Just got to shout out the boys, Gabe and Dan, for continuing their success as coaches, as well as just continuing the success of that Guelph program. Oh my goodness, that kicking program is ridiculous. Anyways, after I butchered that, let's move on.
See, if you had not stopped twice, I wouldn't have said anything.
Oh, but
I
I
think
knew it was
Kyle was
bugging
here.
me.
It was bugging you out. But see, if Kyle was here, he would have been like, that man.
No, but it bugs me. Like, I don't like getting that wrong, so I apologize, boys. But yeah, we're starting in the CFL because yesterday a story came out that Argos QB McLeod Bethel Thompson, as well as 4 other teammates, were sent home from practice because they broke COVID protocols. But here's the fun part. They broke it because they went to the Raptors game on Thursday, that Bucks game that you and me were just talking about. At the request, or at, not even sure if it was a request, at the demand almost of the team. Because they wanted to promote the game, which is the right thing to do.
Yes, and it's the CFL, so yes, they need the publicity. Sorry, but it's true.
So it's a weird situation because the team told him to go, then the other players to go to promote the game. Then it comes out that they were sent home from practice because it is a breach of COVID protocols, because the league states you cannot go to a large crowd venue for a concert or a sporting event.
Okay.
So the normal quarantine's 4 days.
And the East final is on Sunday, and this was Thursday. Yep.
Well, it was yesterday, technically,
Yeah.
that he got sent home, so it would have been Tuesday or Monday. Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
That he would have been out of protocol. So now the league comes out and says, yeah, so we're going to make it a 2-day quarantine, and he's going to have to test negative 3 times. Did the league handle this right, Irfan?
Well, first of all, my question is, did the Argos speak with the league before sending their players out to these games?
No.
Because
No. And Michael Pinball Clemens took blame for that.
yeah, okay. So I think if the league had stuck to their rules, then a lot of fans who were already pretty irritated by this were saying, well, now you just want the Ticats to win. So it's just now you're pulling a favoritism. So I guess in a way they didn't want to deal with those allegations or that sort of blame. So I mean, I understand
but
them
it's the
bringing
opposite.
it down.
No. But here's the thing. So a lot of CFL fans think the Argos are babied. They think the Argos are the league's team, and they want the Argos to win. So everyone is really, really pissed off, saying that, oh, the league's team is getting away with this.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of the opposite. It's not that they're trying to favor the Ticats. It's that everyone thinks that they're favoring the Argos.
Ah, okay. So I read other comments on that one, which were all heavily dominated that the league wants the Ticats to be back in the CFL final and not the Argos. But what you're saying is, I understand that as well. I think in a way it's just
the league might want the Ticats because it's in Hamilton, but all the fans think that the Argos are the league's team. So it's a bad place to be. But to be honest, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, if it's a 4-day rule and the Argos screwed it up, sorry. At this point, sorry. I thought it was a miscommunication. I thought the Argos, were trying to promote the game, and I understand that, but You have these rules, and now that the league's bending them, great. 3 tests is fine. You know what? If that's how it's going to take, like it's better than their quarterback and their 4 other players missing the final, which probably won't be a fun game if they don't have their quarterback there, right? So
Yeah, I mean
that's probably what it is.
the backup's Antonio Pipkin, and he has not looked good
Mm,
when he's been in games, like when they were blowing teams out and he comes into the game. He hasn't looked great. So you know that they don't want to deal with that.
mm.
But it's just, first of all, the 4-day quarantine rule for a fully vaxxed player is seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I wrong? That seems unnecessary.
I understand why they're doing it because I mean, even if you have the vaccine, you still have the possibility of having COVID. So
But
okay, sure,
I get that.
yeah,
But 4 days
but
seems like a long time. Like I'm saying, like a day quarantine plus testing and stuff like that, or 2 days quarantine plus testing, maybe,
which is what they brought it
which is
down
what
to,
they brought it
anyways.
down to. But
Yeah.
that means that this has been in place all season though, and that's where I have a problem. Is that there have been players who have been forced to go home and miss games because of this. Right
Hmm.
now, they
Yeah.
weren't doing it at the behest of their team. Like, let's not forget, McLeod Bethel Thompson was sent to the game by the Argos,
Yeah.
right? And Pinball Clemens was stated in saying he simply obliged with what the team asked him to do, and now he finds himself stuck in the middle. It was an error on my part. This is a situation that we should not have put him in, right?
So did the Arcos get fined? I wasn't able
No.
to find that.
No.
No.
There's no fine because the players are going into quarantine. So it's not like it's a fine that they can institute.
But because they're going from the 4 games to the 2 games, isn't there any sort of
No, of course not.
reprimand because the team screwed up?
Nope. Of course not. That would be too easy.
Oh, that would make sense in my head, but
That's too
apparently.
easy.
All
Um,
right.
so the players, by the way, other than like we're talking McLeod Bethel Thompson, but there's other players that were there with him as part of the team's thing. It's Dexter McCoyle, Charleston Hughes, Levi Noel, and Jeff Richards were all there as well, and they were all sent home from practice yesterday as well.
Yeah.
They have, and all 5 players are going to have to. Let me read this. Yes, to produce a negative. They both, or sorry, they all have to produce a negative PCR test both Friday and Saturday, as well as a negative rapid antigen test on Sunday following a 48-hour quarantine at home. So they have to pass 3 COVID tests
Mm-hmm.
before they can play. I'm okay with that. Don't get me wrong. I think that's the right thing to do, especially because it is a risk. Um, but now I just wonder about all these other players, right? Like these guys who have been suspended or not suspended, but forced into quarantine during the season. Like, is there any
Yeah. Does the
sort
rule
of
change?
compensation that they
Yeah,
get?
but does the rule change because it's playoffs versus regular season?
It shouldn't.
Is that why they're making an exception? Like this seems like okay. Well, then you're right. Like, is there a compensation? Is there a sorry for every other player that's had to follow the rules, even when it's like I don't know. It's a good question. Should other players who did have to sit out be compensated? It's a
Because I
solid
don't think
question.
there's that many that have been, right?
I think the league's been pretty good with their rules and everything. It's just it feels weird that for an East final you've got the Argos making a botchery of it. They've they've kind of not asked the league. They just speak with the league from what I'm understanding, right? Like you said, and the league's you know being nice to them because they understand the the importance of a solid East final.
Yeah, and I mean,
Because the Argos have beat the Ticats twice this season, right? So you want to have both squads at full strength and to give them both equal chance to win. But man, I'm still saying this. This is rules are rules. Like you can't pick and choose, and we'll probably get to many other examples, but you can't pick and choose. The rules of
little
4 days,
foreshadowing
though,
there, buddy.
a little foreshadowing, but at the same time, like I think the rules should be applied to the same. It doesn't matter if you're a big name or not. or a big team or not. Like it has to be equal. You break the rule, and I hate it that it's in the East Final, and I love the Argos, but come on, that's just idiocy on a few people's parts.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other things that is just kind of messed up too. Like Brandon Banks of the Ticats that said that he claimed to try to attend a Raptors game earlier this season, but he was denied by the league.
That's because he went to ask the league, right? Like it
Right.
feels like the Argos are like, well, because we're part of MLSC.
But that's what I mean. Like, but he wasn't. He was told that he couldn't go, so he decided that he just didn't. Like he avoided it.
Yeah.
Which is the right thing to do. Like I absolutely, completely agree that he did the right thing. But man, like it's shady, and I don't like it. But I also don't think Bethel Thompson should be penalized because the team sent him to the. I don't think any of these players should be penalized because the team sent them to the game to promote the game. Sorry.
Which is no, that makes sense. No, it's true. It's true.
I was just poorly worded.
It's fine, but like that's why I asked you about a fine, because I feel like the Argos didn't give a shit about the thing, or they
I
weren't
agree
paying
that there
attention to
should
it.
be. There should be a fine, but there's not going to be a fine because in the rules there's no fine, right?
But there's also never been this situation on an East Final yet,
You're
so
right.
I don't know.
No, you're
Like, they made
right.
the
But I mean, as far as the COVID protocols go, technically you can't blame the team because there's nothing in the COVID protocol rules saying that you fine the team,
No,
right? Which it's a joke, but whatever.
this is the league that needs better publicity, man.
Yeah. And it sucks because that game is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Like the Argos have beat them 3 times this year, but the Ticats are coming in hot. So this is going to be a good game. And now this
The Ticats is our very own Gabe's team, eh?
Yeah, well, he's on the practice squad.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, he probably will be in attendance or close to it, maybe. I don't know. Actually, no, he won't be. I know for a fact he won't be because technically, ready for this? One of the players this year in the CFL was scratched before the game, right? Like he just didn't dress, and he sat in the stands and was forced to go into quarantine because technically it's against the league COVID protocols to be attending a professional sports game with a big crowd. And they can't have extra players on the sidelines.
So then where are the extra players supposed to be?
Go home.
In the booth? Okay.
That's messed up. That's what I mean. Like the league protocols are messed up, first of all.
And this is the same CFL that decided not to play last season because they were trying to figure out the rules and the regulations and how they're going to handle everything. Like this is the same league, right?
They were trying to. No, the reason that they didn't play last year is because this is a gate-driven league, and if you can't have fans in the stands, which they couldn't have last season, then the league would have not done well enough to pay the players.
I see.
It's a gate-driven league. That's the problem with a gate-driven league is that you're kind of limited to the gate. And if you don't have a gate coming in, well, then you're screwed. So,
but still, they had a year to think about all these things as well.
Absolutely. Yes, they did. And they didn't do it.
Nope.
So, anything else you want to add to this before we flip out?
No, let's move on. Let's flip out.
All right. That'll do it for our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you're looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com for more information, or follow their Instagram account at Canada Kicking Academy. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little MLB Irfan, or lack thereof, right here on Garage Door Sports.
Hey everyone, this is Irfan Manji from Touchline Thoughts. We are an all-soccer podcast hosted by yours truly with guests every episode. We provide news, analysis, and opinions every episode as well. Touchline Thoughts is powered by the Garage Door Sports Network, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Cheers.
All right, we're back. The kickoff is over. We're moving into the next. And, dude, MLB officially locked out the players this week. It was a unanimous vote to lock them out by the owners, which I am shocked. I'm not shocked at all because it's the MLB.
Speaking of like another league that is struggling with fans, unfortunately. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like
this is not good. This is a league that struggled to begin with, and now we're gonna do this again. But the main sticking point for this is money, and players are feeling that. I'm gonna read this directly from the ESPN article. Okay, Irfan?
Mm-hmm.
Players feel with the emergence of analytics within front offices that fewer and fewer second and third tier players are getting paid when they finally become free agents after 6 major league years, which is often when a player turns 30 or very close to it. In general, players would like to be paid more at younger ages because that's when they are in their prime. The system also favors keeping players in the minor leagues for several weeks. That stupid service time rule.
Yep.
To slow down their major league service time. Players do not like that. Additionally, they feel that the cycle of teams tanking and limiting payroll, they would like some guardrails within the system to prevent these cycles of teams just continuously tanking. Which is good. I like that statement. Not all of it, but that guardrail statement, because I don't think anyone likes to watch a team tank.
No.
We've watched the Orioles do it a lot.
The Tigers did it for a bit.
Tigers did it for a bit as well. I want to say that Jays haven't really done it, but
no, they're trying to.
The Jays had some down years, but I don't think that was intentional. I think they just couldn't get anybody to come up here.
That, but they also played with the service rule.
But all teams play with the service rule, which is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. There was a stat that I read, and I'm trying to find the article, but it was we're talking about how long a professional baseball player has their career for.
Yeah,
and I think it's gone down to an average of like 3 point something now from 5 point something 20 years ago. So I think the players are fighting for better pay, equal pay sort of thing, like bringing up that bracket as well of pay.
Yeah.
Because again, you said it in your quote there, it's the players in their prime. So they have a 3 or 4 year season and then they're done because they're like, well, that's it. You're on a decline. We're done with you,
Yeah.
So player times is also decreasing. So how are they getting more younger players into the game? Yes, the best players will get their dues. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how it works. If you're good, you're very good, you're going to get paid, right? But what happens to the second tier, the 3-tier guys, the utility guys, for example, who may or may not get paid, except for Taylor, who just got a bit of bank going back to the Dodgers. But, there's players that, they play 3 solid years and that's it. But then you have other vets that are so good, they play for 15 years. So how do you bring that up? How do you level that off to have, equal pay? And, equal pay is a problem in every sort of professional environment. But
and that's the thing, is that they're trying to just make sure that they have enough when they're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. I understand that. That's definitely something that you have to consider in any career, really. Yeah. And they're just trying to look out for themselves and their families. Now, the question is that are the top players being paid too much, which forces the second or third tier players to not be able to have any because the teams just don't have any more to give.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a whole other issue that obviously we're not going to get into today because that's not what we're talking about. I want to talk about all the pettiness that is going on between the league and the players. I don't know if you've seen this, Irfan, and it's hilarious if you have not. But the MLB teams have taken down any mention of the current players, from their websites, including their images. from the depth charts because they have to keep the player names in there because they have to have a depth chart, but they took all the pictures out. How petty is that? Like, oh my goodness, you guys are petty.
So did they do that because they don't have rights to players because of lockdown, or they did it because they're being?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. I mean, the
I'll look it up
hilarity
quickly,
in this,
but
yeah. So the hilarity of that situation is I've seen people on our, like my timeline, for example, or our Garage Door Sports timeline who've changed their profile picture. They're not players, not, associated with the game in any way, shape, or form. They're like, we're going to do the exact same thing. So they have that blank canvas picture of, when a rookie comes up and they haven't taken a picture of that kid yet. It's one of those. Yeah.
So it says, and I'm just going to read this: by removing player names, images, or likeness, owners hope to avoid running afoul of federal labor laws or the insinuation that any uses would be for commercial or promotional purposes to make money during a labor dispute. Okay. I get that. But it's just funny, like, all of the prior stories were taken down. So any story, any article that had a player name that's currently on the team was removed.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Wow. It's just so funny, and like then the players have shot back. I don't know if you've seen this, but they've changed their profile pictures on social media to just the outline.
That I've seen. That was funny. That's what I was saying. The people on our timeline
at this point, but Jamison Tyon, Joe Musgrove, Trevor Williams, all these guys took their images off and just used that outlined silhouette as their.
Yeah.
It's just funny, man. Like, it's so petty, it's so childish, and I don't know. It's good. I like that because both sides are doing it. But the big question, I think, getting more focused on the seriousness of this, is that how long do you think this is going to last, dude? Like, are we going to have a season? Is this going to be another 1994-95 where the entire season was locked out?
I think it's because it just started and it's been about 3 days. I'm going to be the optimistic one here. I feel like give them to maybe January. Give them a month. It's seasonal holiday, so we're going to be happy that it's the seasonal holiday, and we're just going to let this go for the month. I'm going to start to be a little worried about losing the year once we hit January, February, to be honest with you, because at that point, spring training for, I think it's catchers or pitchers, is earlier than.
Yeah, it's like end of February.
Yeah, so if nothing by end of January shows up, then I feel like we might be hitting either a shortened season or a full season lockout. I'm really hoping that Rob Manfred becomes a little bit more vocal in telling both sides to get this done, because like they need a season, to be honest. Like there was an article I was reading about Gen Z, so kids that are up and coming, and how social media plays a massive part in how they view content, how they see content. If there's no content coming out from the MLB and they're trying to grow their fan base, just like the CFL needs to do the same thing, but MLB trying to grow their fan base here, how are you going to do it when these kids are like, well, there's no content here. We're going to pick a different sport. We're going to look at a different sport. I mean, the hardcore ones won't, but the other ones that are trying to understand the game will be like, this is why we think baseball is boring, because there's just nothing out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you said, January, February, you start getting more concerned. Like pitchers and catchers usually report mid to late February. Spring training starts March, right?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if we're halfway through the spring training time before this is resolved, personally.
I can see that too, yeah.
Means I don't think we'll lose season, but man, I could see this one being dragged out, and I don't want it to, because obviously none of us want it to be locked out. We are sports fans at the heart of this, folks. Me, Irfan, Kyle, we are sports fans. We love these leagues. I have a sneaking suspicion this one might get dragged out a little bit more. And it's unfortunate. It's a bad situation. And now players and teams can't talk, so any free agents, any trades that were going to happen aren't happening anytime soon.
No.
Right? like some of these guys are still free agents right now, and we don't really know what's going to happen because they don't have contracts, and they won't have contracts until this is resolved. So if this gets into March, like I just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
These guys are going to be scrambling to try to find teams. And it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. I get why they're doing it. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand. Both sides have some good points, and it's gonna be a mess. But I think, honestly, like this is gonna put the league in a very bad situation, as the league was already in a bad situation, right? For viewership and everything, it wasn't doing well, and now you're basically telling them that okay, we're gonna take some time off and not show you anything, not use our players, and you're still gonna have to come back. It's like, no, we don't have to. Fans don't have to come back. Maybe this is the start of a new league being the top baseball league or something, right? I'm not going to say it's going to come to that, but maybe fans try to find a different league to go cheer for as opposed to the MLB. Like maybe they start cheering for the minor league teams or something, or they start watching more of the Korean Baseball Association, the KBO, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it. I'm not going to say that's really going to happen, but maybe.
Does the lockout impact the minor leagues? Because they're affiliated with the big clubs?
I don't know. Because
'Cause it's just
technically they're
talking
their own
about MLB.
entity.
Yeah, it's like talking about MLBPA, and it's talking about the Major League Baseball and the owners, but like there was no mention of the MI side of the things.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I'm just trying to see.
Yeah.
All right. Does MLB lockout affect minor league baseball? This is something we should have talked about before.
Yeah. Sorry, it just came up now in my head.
Okay, so what I'm reading is MLB players are not permitted to use the team facility and work out with team personnel, but the minor league players are allowed. So they just can't be on the 40-man roster.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that would mean then yeah, minor league players not on the 40-man roster, however, are still permitted to use club facilities and rehab with team personnel.
Gotcha.
So I would assume that means that, yeah, I guess the minor leagues aren't affected.
There you go. Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah.
So there might be minor league Buffalo Bison's baseball on Sportsnet sometimes. You get to see the younger guys. I'm okay with that.
Oh,
maybe not the fact that the league is won't be there, for example, but I love to see the younger guys play.
Yeah, no, I wonder if that's actually the case. I'm still trying to see if they will play games. I don't know. I can't see anything about it, but that would be interesting to see for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is the start. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff about this being like the beginning of the end of Major League Baseball, like the whole league.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's true, but I believe that it could change the course of Major League Baseball moving forward. So we'll see. Let's flip gears one more time. We're going to go to the NFL now, and we talked about the CFL COVID protocol breach, and unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about it in the other big football league, Irfan. But this time it's an actual suspension, and this is a huge one because Antonio Brown has been suspended 3 games for faking a vaccination card. Not just not being vaccinated and not following protocols, for faking a vaccination card. What did you make of this entire story? And we'll get into the suspension and everything after, but just the fact that he faked a vaccination card.
I have to. First of all, it's like you are a top player in the NFL. I don't care if he's in his 30s or whatever. You're playing for the Bucks, defending, Super Bowl champions. What are you doing, man? You've just jeopardized trust between you and your team, you and your teammates, right? You've jeopardized the fact that now the league's going to be looking at you even more than they already were for all the problems that you're having prior to signing for the Bucks. Same thing with the other players there. I don't understand the need to do it. Like, if you do not want to get it done, talk about it. Say that you don't want to get it done. I'm sure there's rules about that as well, and you got to follow protocol there. Can we talk suspension then? Just the 3 games there?
Yes, and I want to just add in, there was also 2 other players suspended. They're not as well known, but defensive back Mike Edwards of the Buccaneers as well, and free agent receiver John Franklin III. All 3 of them faked their vaccination cards. All 3 of them are technically suspended for 3 games, but John Franklin is a free agent, so it would be whenever he gets signed, he gets suspended for 3 games.
Is the team going to sign him just so he can do his 3-game suspension?
Well, I mean, if he's a free agent at this point, I don't think anyone's signing him because it's late enough in the season. But regardless, so yes, talk about the suspension, Irfan.
3 games to me doesn't seem like that's enough. That's what, 3 weeks technically?
Yes, because they've already had their.
Okay, so you get the first shot. You got to wait 4 to 6 weeks to 3 months, depending on who you are.
But the NFL players don't have to be vaccinated.
Okay.
Right? It's not a requirement that they be vaccinated. There's different protocols for a player who is vaccinated over one who is not vaccinated. So technically, you can't force them to get the shot. It's not like they're now going to do that.
I'm just saying that if he decides to actually get the proper documentation and he wants to, for example, the process is longer than 3 games, is what I was trying to say.
Absolutely, I agree to that.
Right? So, I don't know, man. I've just questioned this, and I asked you this question off air, and I think I'll pose it on air to you. Is a lot of people on social media so far have been talking about, well, then how come Aaron Rodgers has not been in trouble? How come he hasn't been suspended? So you have an answer for that. So why don't you share to us the difference between this particular incident and Aaron Rodgers' incident?
Because one of them didn't lie to the league. Rodgers never lied to the league. He might have, and I mean, if we want to get technical, he didn't lie to the media and the fans. He misled them with what he said, but he never technically lied.
Yeah.
But he was going through all the proper channels to try to get the exemption. Did he break protocol? Yes, because he wasn't wearing a mask, and that's why he was fined, because that's what it says in the agreement that the players in the league had about protocols. But he never lied to the league. He went through the exemption form. It got denied. So the league knew he was unvaccinated, right?
Yeah.
Antonio Brown lied to the league, faked federal documentation, and still expected to play no problem. That's the difference right there. He faked his status.
It's criminal offense versus misleading, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not lying, but not being totally honest either. That's the difference. He never lied to the league. The league knew he was unvaccinated, Aaron Rodgers, right? The team knew he was unvaccinated. The only people who didn't really know he was unvaccinated were the fans and the media, because he, I don't know if you want to call it geniusly or inherently, used his words to portray the idea that he was vaccinated when he wasn't. But he never actually said he was vaccinated. He said he was immune, right? I know we got into that, and I'm not going to argue that. He did mislead the media and the fan, but he didn't technically lie either. So you can't. It's not like he went against the protocols. He followed the protocol. He went through the exemption status. Whereas Antonio Brown straight up just said, "Oh yeah, I'm vaccinated. Here's my vaccine card," and it was a fake. He faked a vaccine card. That's why he's suspended. Right? Like, that's why, Irfan, right there. That's it.
Yeah. I'm reading this part on July 2nd when Braun's girlfriend texted this person
Yeah.
that I wanted a fake card for 500, and apparently, nope, it's 10 grand or something. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Just go get the shot, man. $10,000. Well, I mean, maybe not for him, but like for the common man, that's a lot of money, man. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
3 games seems like if you went all the way, paid, there's proof, whatever. 3 games doesn't seem like a too much of a slap on the wrist. He's been injured. The Bucks don't necessarily rely on him for a lot of things. So I mean, can they make it longer? No, they can't, because then under the rules, you can't go longer, right?
No, but like, it's just such an unnecessary stupidity on his part. Like, you are putting your team at risk, and you're doing it illegally, like straight up illegally, by faking a vaccine card. I don't know. I didn't like what Rogers did, but at least he didn't lie to the league. The league knew.
Mm.
This is a joke.
And this is the same Antonio Brown who had COVID in September, yeah?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. But
No. The article said
there you go.
September, I believe. So
There you go.
like, you've had it, you know what it does. Hey, all right.
I don't know. I just don't get why we're having this conversation again. Like, why is this a thing? How is this a thing, Irfan? Like, explain this to me. I don't get it.
Well, let's try. Let's take a stab at it. Like, the NFL has a protocol that if you're not vaccinated, here's what you have to do. And if you're vaccinating, here's what you have to do. But you can still play, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So why lie? Or why mislead? Just say it straight up and then just follow the rules. Like, I mean, I'm a stickler for rules, so like, this blows my mind, but just, there's protocols. They're letting you play. Just follow what they want done. Like, you don't need to fake it just so you don't have to wear a mask during media thing. Like, put on a mask. It's, you know what? Like, the rate of transmission, even for the flu, when you wear a mask, has gone significantly down.
Yeah.
And we're feeling like it's a better environment. Just do it, man. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your family. There's kids that look up to you. Okay, these football players have such a huge following in the United States and worldwide now, because like games keep getting played on Sky Sports in the UK, so they have such a huge following. But like, what does this tell the kids? Sorry, but like, that's the future of sport. Is the Gen Zs is what I mentioned in the MLB story, is they're like, oh, so we can lie. Like, I know I'm going to an extent here and say you can lie. Like, there's more judgment to that, or kids are smarter than that. But like, if he did it, I'm gonna do it, and then that's just I don't know, man. Like, do you think they're gonna look at every single player's vaccination card status now to make sure it's not fake?
They might.
Like, is that what we're gonna get to?
They might. Like, they might actually have to get to that, and I don't know if I like that. Well, no, sorry.
like,
I do like that they would have to do it, but the fact that they have to do it, I don't like that.
Yeah. It's like asking, let's say, I'm pretty sure Brady's double vax, right? So like, asking Brady, show us your proof. Where'd you get it done? And then having to go through medical records to prove all this stuff. Like, that just seems ridiculous for an entire league to have to do. But hey, you know what? But if the league, is getting blindsided, or, they know the status, but they're not enforcing it until somebody says something, Aaron Rodgers situation, for example. I mean, you know what? Might as well have to start doing that now to see what players are doing. Doesn't matter if they're free agents or not. You want to play in this league? We're going to do a little background check on you.
Yeah, and the worst part is that they don't have to be vaccinated, as you just said. Like, you could have gotten away with it without getting vaccinated, dude. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Why put yourself through this? I just don't get it.
Why pay $10,000 for a fake card? That's a lot of money in my eyes.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, not for them. It's like, what? Like 0.05% of their salary or whatever it is. But at the same time, like, sorry, but I'm not chucking 10 grand anywhere. If you have 10 grand lying around, please give it to Nick and myself. We
don't have 10 grand to just throw around, so. Let's not
If
play that game. Yeah, it's a mess, and it's just gonna get worse. So I'm not really sure where they're gonna go from here,
hmm
but we'll see. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, a little bit of footy, Irfan, just a little. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Hey guys, it's producer Jake here from Betting House, the Garage Door Sports Network's ultimate degenerate gambling podcast. Catch our episodes weekly on Apple, Spotify, and Google as we bring you banter, laughter, and of course picks for all sorts of games throughout the week. Give us a follow on our socials at Betting House Pod, where you can catch all our bets each week, as well as some bonus content. Remember to always gamble responsibly. Let's get rich.
Living the life, Irfan, once again. Quickly though, we gotta talk a little footy, and I think the big story from this week, and it's not hard to say, Ronaldo scored his 800th goal, my friend. We gotta ask: Is he the best? Is he the best player ever?
Are you asking me this question?
I'm asking you this question: Is he the best player ever?
No. And I've said this on Touchline Thoughts. I still think Pele is the best player ever to play the game. I would still take Ronaldinho in his prime over CR7 because, I mean, go watch Ronaldinho play. Is Cristiano Ronaldo the best goal scorer of all time? Maybe. I would give him that title. But is he the best player ever? No. There's like a few other players that I would argue are in that top tier. He is a top tier player. He is one of the best players in the game now. Him and Messi might be the best players in this era in the last 20 years by far. I'll give him that. Okay. But of all time, I don't think so. Not yet. I don't know what will get him to that, but he's definitely in a conversation. But again, I'm going to go with the two Brazilians as that next tier that just, you look at them play and you're mesmerized. Ronaldo, yeah, he plays, he can jump up higher than everybody else and you're mesmerized there. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but if he's not on the pitch and there's another striker, that striker could also score in that position. It's just CR7's lethal and he understands the game better than most. So in this era, yes. What about you? What do you think? Is he the best player ever?
I don't know if he's the best ever. Is he top like 3? Probably, in my opinion. I think he's up there. I think you mentioned Pele, Ronaldinho. You could throw Maradona's up there too. Like what he was able to do when he was on the pitch was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've had problems with Ronaldo because I find he dives. Right?
Okay.
In his career, he's been known to do that, and it's something that it detracts from me calling him the best player ever because, like, Messi doesn't dive. Messi does everything he possibly can to stay on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it just detracts from his case, and all the
but
little.
He's doing what a striker's supposed to do is get hard tackle in the right spot or whatever and
what
drop
hard
down.
tackles?
Apparently,
I said dive. He's getting
yeah,
touched
well,
and falling over. There's a
well,
difference.
that's the thing though. But that's the era.
I know
of
it's the
current
era,
football,
so I
right?
get that, but it's hard to call him the best ever if he has something detracting from him, right? Like that's what I mean. And I'm not saying Messi's the best ever either. Messi's up there as well. He's top 5 all time, along with Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Pele, Maradona. I think those are the top 5 for me as well. But you can't deny Ronaldo is probably the best scorer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like pure goal scorer. He's 4 off of the all-time record.
Yeah.
Held by Josef Bican from the Czech. In the 1930s and 40s, this guy scored 805 sanctioned goals, which means he probably scored a ton more in unsanctioned matches. So if Ronaldo has 5 more goals, he passes him for the all-time record, which is incredible, right?
She will. Yeah.
I think the other question that I want to ask you, Irfan, because you are a soccer person and you're here, so I'm going to ask it to you anyway. Obviously, the change in the coaching staff and the manager and everything going on at Man U right now, that's a big storyline. Do you think that is going to help the team? And I mean, in the end, help Ronaldo cement his status a little bit more moving forward, because it's a mess. There's a lot of moving parts right now in that organization, and I mean, as a United fan, it's really hard to watch and just kind of be neutral on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ralph Ragnick is the right decision. Rangnick. I'm going to get that wrong every time I try. That N throws me off.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the right guy to bring into this team. And I don't know if his style with the high press, what is it, Gangen press?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I don't know if that will work with this roster. Because this is a counterattack roster.
Yeah.
Not a press roster.
Yeah. Do I think he's the best option available for this role? No. But I think when they talk about Manchester United building a culture that is sustainable, that is trying to win trophies, I think Ragnick brings that with his CV, with the people he's mentored, with his understanding of the game. And maybe that's why they kind of went after him, was like, it's time to change the thinking here. It's time to change. Like, the last 7 years without Sir Alex Ferguson have not been pretty. We've had highs, we've had some trophies, yes, but it hasn't been where we step on the pitch and it looks like, oh, you know what? We're contending this year and we're going to be a top team.
Yeah.
That was the goal with the 3 signings from this past summer. But as we know, with the record that United have had since Fergie, it's not going to happen, at least not for a while. So I understand the hiring in the sense that he needs to bring in a mentality that is designed to win and to be like, this is how you play the game, because this is the modern game of football. You look at Thomas Tuchel, you look at what Klopp does, you look at what Pep Guardiola does, you look at what Luis Enrique is doing with the Spain national team. You look at the way Diego Simeone reads the game, the way Ancelotti reads the game. It's changing, it's evolving, and I think United are still a step behind. And maybe Ragnick is the guy that's going to bring them forward and be like, this is modern football now. This is how it was. Yes, it wasn't 20 years ago when he started this idea, but it's sort of becoming like, you press together, you play together, you move together, you expend energy in a certain way. And maybe it doesn't work with the players we have now, but like, if there's any sort of like whatever we saw with Carrick there, like, this team can press if they want to. They can be tight defensively if they want to. They just didn't choose that sort of style to play under Ole, under Mourinho. So I am very curious to see how Ragnick fits into this mold. And I do think Ronaldo's going to score whoever his manager is, because he's going to find the space. He's going to find the pocket, because that's what the best players do. I think Ragnick's going to find a way for Ronaldo to still thrive. But I feel like Cavani might be better suited for his style of play, which, do you go 2 strikers with those 2, or do you have Ronaldo on the bench? So that might be a question that ends up being asked, and I don't know how that's going to go well with the star player there, but
that won't go over very well, I'll tell you right
now.
But
I will tell you now that I think he's going to have to drag this team into the present, and that might take longer than 6 months. And does that mean he sticks around if there's instant success? Probably. But
well, no, he's already sticking around.
No, but I meant as a manager.
No.
Yeah.
No, but he won't. He won't be the manager. He'll be part of the organization still, but he will not be the manager after the end of this season.
So there is a clause. So if they find that he's good enough and that's what they want, he can be re-signed as a manager. But that's the thing. Maybe he's just here to bring them into modern football and to bring them up to times. Like, you see AC Milan, who sort of went through that dip as well, and they're trying really hard under Pioli, and they're doing fairly well under Serie A, not Europe, but trying to bring it into the present. This is what they have to do. That's what Barcelona is doing with Xavi, trying to bring everybody to present time, because football now is the way Bayern plays, the way the 3 top English teams right now play, the way Diego Simeone sometimes lines up his squad, albeit a little struggling here, the way Carlo, like I've mentioned, Ancelotti's changing his tactics.
Right.
Zizou's changing his tactics. You have Poch, who's doing the exact same thing. So maybe it's just trying to pull modern football into this team. And
I get
I
that,
don't
but
know.
you also have to play within your team. Like you have to play within the players you have, and if the players can't
Correct.
do it consistently, then you have to use a tactic that works for that. You have to be flexible. I'm just
Hmm.
worried that he's going to come in and try to push this Gangan style,
Hmm.
Gangan press
Fresh.
style,
Yeah.
and he's either going to run the players into the ground
Hmm.
and they will just turn on him, or it's just not going to be effective because they don't have that in them. Like, yes, you mentioned that they can play press football, and that's fine. Any team can play press football for a
Hmm.
game or for 15 minutes in a game. Like, any team can do that. But
Hmm.
to sustain that over a season, to sustain it over multiple matches, that's where my concern is that he's going to try to sustain it over multiple matches, and this team just can't do it. We don't have enough defensive depth, especially in the defensive midfield area, to do that.
Hmm.
Like, United needs a center defensive mid. United needs probably another center back.
Hmm.
Because I thought the Varane signing was going to be okay. I was worried that he was a little older. Guess what? My worries have become fact because he's been injured half the year and he's not
Hmm.
playing. So we're back to playing with Lindelof beside Maguire. And as much as I thought Lindelof was going to pan out at United when he was signed here, it hasn't worked. He's a good guy off the bench, sure. Can you bring him in for 10, 15 minutes and get a good run out of him? Absolutely. Do I think he has the ability to still be a top center back in the world? Absolutely. Is it going to happen at United? No. It's not going to happen.
Hmm.
Right? So they need a center back who balances Maguire. And that's hard to do because Maguire is about as big of an enigma at center back as a top center back in the world could be. He's
Hmm.
either fantastic and an absolute shutdown center back, or he forgets how to use his right foot. And he's a right footed player.
He forgets how to play his position. Yes. Yes, he does.
So when you have a player like that who can be a top center back, he can.
Hmm.
I'm not saying he is a top center back. He's probably like, if we're ranking it, it's probably like top 5, top 10, and he's in that next group,
Hmm.
right? He's very good when he's on. But if you have a player like that, you need to have a solid balance player beside him.
Yeah.
And I thought Varane could be it, but I was worried about his age, and that's been proven to be a very valid worry.
Yeah.
And they don't. I'm sorry, Bailly is just not working out.
I think he's more like when he plays well, but
He
you know,
makes mistakes, and you can't
he
have
makes
that
mistakes.
beside
But
a
like
guy. But you can't have that beside a guy with like Maguire,
he makes mistakes every 5 minutes. Yes.
right? You can't
Yeah.
have that. You need a
No.
guy who balances that. And I think
Yeah.
outside of center defensive mid and another center back, this team is solid.
Offensively, I think we have. Oh, I think United have a plethora of wonderful attacking options. You take Rashford off, you have Mason Greenwood. You take Ronaldo off, you have Cavani. You take Bruno off, you have Van de Beek. You know, like
You have Sancho. Don't forget
yeah,
Sancho and
Sancho's
Martial and
yeah,
Greenwood.
like
Like you have all these guys.
you have offensively, and I think that's what I'm very curious to see what changes happen in January, if any. And if you start moving away fringe players or you start rotating the squad a little more, you're in the round of 16 in the Champions League now. The FA Cup starting very soon. There's a hectic schedule in December. Are we going to see rotation? And
Well, the
that
FA
is
Cup,
some,
yeah, you'll see rotation in the FA Cup first couple rounds.
yeah. But I think he's there, this manager, just to pull United into the present, and then the next manager that comes in just has to pick that up.
Again, I want them to figure this out. Again, they need a center defensive mid. They probably need another center back, especially if Varane is just going to keep getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I think that right there solidifies the team. A true center defensive mid solidifies the team more than anything.
So who are you looking at?
I don't care. I want someone who's better than McTominay and Fred.
Fred steps on his own keeper's foot. Oh man, that was a highlight. Okay.
I'll be honest, I did not see that. But
Oh, he just stepped on De Gea's foot, and then De Gea dropped, and then Arsenal scored in the empty net because, well,
yeah,
they didn't touch the keeper.
I don't know. Like, United need a player like a Witzel from Dortmund sort of thing, right? Like a true center defensive mid. Declan Rice would have been a good addition, but I know he's not going anywhere from West Ham right now. Although they do have two center defensive mids at West Ham that are pretty good, and him and Sushek, right?
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to lose in mid-season. I would toss Calvin Phillips into this conversation.
Calvin Phillips, absolutely, but I don't think he's going anywhere from Leeds either.
No, he's a horse. Zakaria is being linked to United. He's a young.
Torreira from Fiorentina, he could be on the list too. There's options out there for sure, but they need a center defensive mid. Because what that does is it allows you to change the formation from 2-1 to 1-2. Put a true center defensive mid behind Pogba and Pogba and Fernandez.
Yeah.
Right? And allow them to be the offensive midfielders. Right? Pogba will probably play a little bit lower than Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
But it still allows him to be there. Like, he still has the ability to go forward without having to worry about tracking back. It gives him that freedom that he hasn't had since he got back here. I think that's where we're at right now, is that they're not allowing the creative players the creative freedom that they need.
Because they're worried about McTominay or McFred. Sorry, I call him McFred now. Making mistakes.
It's a combination. It's McFred now.
McFred. Making mistakes. Yeah. I wish Nemanja Matic was like 6 years younger.
Yeah.
Because this would actually solve the issue.
I would, absolutely. They need...
But
that's what they need. They need a Matic from 6 years ago, or they need a Owen Hargreaves, or...
Is N'Golo Kante available? Is Kante available? Can we go get him?
I will say no to that one. I don't think that's a possibility.
No. Paige would be really happy. Shout out to Paige. She'll be happy that...
I think you and me would also be happy there, dude.
We'd be very happy. That's the type of player that I think that's the mold that United need. I think Ndidi from Leicester could be somebody that moves.
These are just guys that I just don't see coming.
They're not going to move unless Brendan Rodgers comes over, which that's another conversation to have.
I still don't see them letting Ndidi go right now.
No.
But
we'll give you McTominay. We'll give you McFred. Give you the combo. Give you the combo.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hey, sorry, totally off, a little off script. But do you remember when United bought Phil Jones and Fergie said that he can play right back, center back, and holding midfield?
He could at the time.
Do you think we should try that?
No. Phil Jones is not allowed to touch the field in a Man United jersey ever again. I would rather go out there and humiliate myself as a center defensive mid than watch Phil Jones fucking play ever again. I'm done with Jones. He was serviceable for a couple years. He's no longer serviceable. I would rather they put Maguire at center defensive mid than let Phil Jones touch the goddamn field.
You know what, though? Maguire has a good passing touch when he's on his game.
That's not the point.
But yes, I was just putting the Phil Jones story up there.
No.
The man hasn't played in 2 years. Injuries
There's a reason.
He's been injured, but he's also not been very good. So,
got me all pissed off now, Irfan.
I just was curious to see what you thought.
You know I don't like Jones. This is not news to you.
Let's end on a positive note then.
All right, we're on final thoughts. Go ahead. Positive note me.
Damn it, what was I going to say? We are talking Ballon d'Or on Touch on Thoughts next, but I want to say a huge shout out to Putellas for winning the women's Ballon d'Or. Man, that was such a nice moment. And like Barcelona on the women's side is like beautiful soccer, beautiful players. They're just fantastically talented players. Very happy to see. And also thank you to Nick for covering the Ballon d'Or for us. That was same thing.
Very, very loose term. I retweeted.
I mean, considering Paige and I were both unavailable, I'm happy you stepped in and did all the retweets and the commenting, and kept the flow going. So thank you to that. That is my final thought. Is a thank you to Nick.
Oh, well, I didn't really deserve that because I didn't do a whole lot. I retweeted a couple things. That's all I did. And yeah,
That's
it was
more than we
interesting to
did.
see how the voting kind of came out on all of those awards. Like Lewandowski won top striker.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Messi won Ballon d'Or. Who was the top keeper?
Donnarumma.
Donnarumma, yeah. A little surprised by that one.
Mm,
I know he was boosted by the Euro last year, but
yeah,
I don't know. I actually thought Mendy probably should have won it,
probably.
but I mean, whatever. It's toss of a coin at that point. I think they both had great seasons, but I just thought Mendy played more and did a little bit more for his squad than what Donnarumma did because he was at AC Milan at the beginning of the last year, and now he's at PSG and he's not even playing.
Mm.
Just,
I think the Euros had a lot to do with it. That's
I
probably
think
why
it did
Jorginho
too.
finished
I think it did too.
top 3 in the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. I don't know. I get that the Euros are a big tournament, don't get me wrong, but the majority of the games played last year were club games, and Mendy was dominant. So,
In a league that has Ederson and Allison
and De Gea.
and De Gea, like you have, and even I tossed Henderson up there as well. Like,
Oh, absolutely, Hendo.
yeah, like there were so many great goalkeepers last year. I mean, even Pickford had a decent year, except for stomping on.
I would also like to point out, like, I know he's not talked about as a top goalkeeper anymore, and he rightfully so. It's been a while.
Mm.
You know who had an actually half decent year last year playing on a crappy team in EPL? Ben Foster.
Ben Foster's a good shot stopper.
He is.
I will give him that. Yeah.
I actually thought he had a really good year last year. I know his team
Mhm.
didn't do well, and I get that, and I got to look at stats that way. But like, I thought he had a pretty good year. I know I'm a
Yeah.
Foster fan, so it's like I'm kind of outing myself by saying that, but at the same time, like he looked good.
But he's always been a very good shot stopper,
Yeah.
even in the academy.
Yeah.
So, like, I like that. There's a lot of underrated keepers like you can pull out. Yeah.
My final thought of the week. I got a couple quickly.
Yes.
First of all, I was right to say that curling last week was going to be entertaining to watch. I don't know if you saw the finals for the Canadian qualifiers for the Olympics. The women's went to an extra end after Jennifer Jones botched the last rock in the 10th end to win it. And then she won it in emotional fashion without the hammer in the 11th end. Just craziness. And then
Jennifer
the Gushu
Jones.
Jacobs match in the final for the men's was
Yeah.
incredible. Like, I was right. I win something.
Get a solid fist bump from me.
Yeah. No, it was good. I was impressed. I was because it was on in the change room when I was at work at the gym, and
Mhm.
I was watching it, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is good. And I mentioned it last week, and I was right. I just wanted to point that
So
out.
the winners for both of these, they go to they're representing Canada.
They're representing Canada at the Olympics. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Second, CPL finals are this weekend. It's actually tomorrow, Sunday the 5th, on
Yes.
One Soccer. Forge looking for the three-peat. Going up against Pacific with probably the best coach in the league. Maybe Forge's coach is the best. It's debatable. These are probably the two best coaches in the league. But Pamadou Ka has done a great job with that Pacific team, building them up from a not very good team the first year to an okay team the second year to now probably the best chance to dethrone Forge.
Mhm.
It's going to be a good match. I will be working, so I won't be able to watch it. But if you have a chance, check out One Soccer. They're going to put on the great show, like always.
Mhm.
Shout out Mikey at One Soccer, our buddy, good friend of the show. And the last thing I wanted to talk about really, really quickly is there is the Vanier Cup this weekend as well. It's actually starting in about an hour. So if you're watching us live, you can check it out. It's on CBC. Western Saskatchewan, top defense versus top offense. It's going to be a lot of fun. I like these kind of games. I love promoting Canadian sports. So obviously CPL and U Sports, I'm all for it. Let's do it. And then next week we'll talk some CFL. We'll probably hopefully have a guest on for that. We will see. Until then, Irfan, It's been a great time. If you want to follow us, check us out at Garage Door Sport on Twitter, at Garage Door Sports on Instagram. If you're looking for myself, it's at Nick McVicker. If you're looking for Irfan, it's at Irfan Manji on both Twitter and Instagram for both of us. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you listen to the podcast. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our network, including Irfan's Touchline Thoughts with Paige Culver. They just put out a new episode last week. They're going to probably put in a new one this weekend. I don't know when they're actually recording it, but they're doing stuff. You can also check out the Betting House Pod. They just released their new episode on Thursday. I still have to listen to that because I got to make some bets for tomorrow. I do. This is the problem.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, make sure you follow us. Make sure you keep listening in. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we will see you next time.